Well, joining us now is royal commentator Caroline Aston. Caroline, thanks for joining us on this important day, which we are being told the King will be celebrating privately. Is that an indication of this sort of perhaps new lower-key, slimmed-down monarchy?
I think it's probably reflective of his emotion at this time. Don't forget, yesterday he led the nation in its remembrance ceremonies, and I'm sure his heart and his mind were full as he laid that black-edged wreath, remembering the times his mother, her small black-clad figure, one of the iconic pictures of that sort of time of year, and there he stood, and I thought the grief that he still feels is still graven on his face. And of course today, this is the first birthday when he won't hear his mother's voice wishing him happy birthday. There won't be a telephone call, there won't be a shared celebration with her. But of course, as you so rightly say, there's more than a whiff of ceremonial gun smoke in the damp, misty air of London today. And of course, there was a 62-gun salute fired at the Tower of London too. So all the ceremony, the King's Royal Horse Artillery with their black horses, their jingling gun carriages, all of it there, but with that back note, I'm sure, still of reflection and sadness that the Queen was taken so very suddenly from us. And of course, the King finds himself in the middle of immense planning going forward, Operation Golden Orb, as the May coronation is planned. And of course, timing. There's a lot going on, royally speaking, at the moment, with the memoir of Prince Harry coming out in January, Spare, with the debate going on about that, and of course, the ongoing discussion about The Crown, which now, at last, is being shown with a disclaimer to remind everyone that this is a fictionalised dramatisation. And of course, the current series, Series 5, is dealing with some of the more controversial aspects of the King's earlier life. So lots going on, but a happy birthday to you, Your Majesty, and we look forward to a wonderful coronation.
Yeah, perhaps you won't be watching The Crown as part of that birthday celebration.
Certainly not.
No. We just saw the official portrait that's been released as well as part of this birthday celebration of him in, we think it's in Windsor Great Park, with the news that he's officially becoming Ranger of Windsor Great Park 70 years after his father. And I suppose we should reflect that it wasn't just his mother, the Queen, that he lost, but his father as well. A double blow to him, really.
Yes, very much so. I mean, a blow to the Queen, of course, when she lost her rock, but also, of course, those two steady figures there leading the institution. Interestingly, in Ranger of Great Park, one of the most amusing ones was Queen Anne's husband, Prince George of Denmark, a man of whom it was said he was so boring, it was a good job he had asthma. It was only his heavy breathing that stopped people mistaking him for dead and carrying him away.
That sounds like one of those script lines from The Crown. However, in this sense, it's fact, not fiction. But looking ahead to what we might expect in the coronation, I mean, we saw these scenes in York Minster when the eggs were thrown, but that does seem to be against the flow, where he's been welcomed by people and a very relaxed King Charles, actually shaking hands and posing for selfies. This has moved on in terms of the connection with the public.
Very much. I think he's aware of what his mother often used to say. I have to be seen to be believed. And in the modern world, the monarchy has to be relevant and it has to be accessible. And I've been very impressed with the way he's been conducting himself, egg yolks apart. And I think the person that got the jeering, the booing, etc., was certainly not the King. It was the gentleman who lobbed the eggs at him. Going forward, the augurs are good. And I was very impressed by that very first speech he gave to us, with his grief graven on his face when he thanked his mother for all she'd done and promised to follow in her footsteps. And after all, not many people have a 70-year apprenticeship for the job.
Well, yeah, I mean, that actually in itself, of course, is something that we reflect on, that he's come into the job at 74 years of age. Is that going to make a difference to how we see the reign?
Well, maybe. I mean, he's very au fait with what's going on. His interests very much correspond with many of the current issues of the moment, particularly to do with climate change. He was talking about that years ago. Ecology, preservation, nature, all of these things chime with today. No, I think going forward it's going to be very good. And of course, the Queen became the grandmother of the nation. Well, we now have a real grandfather leading the nation. I'm looking forward to what happens next, and certainly towards the coronation, however long or short the ceremony finally turns out to be.